Hello, you're watching Avenue X. Today, let's talk about two right now airing Chinese period drama. One is purely web available on iQIYI, and the other is web and satellite TV airing at the same time from Tencent. The one on iQIYI is Feud, 临江仙. It went live on June the 6th. Then, one day after that, on June the 7th, we have Chang'an de Litchi going live on Tencent and CCTV satellite television. One drama is 32 episodes, the other one is 35 episodes. The iQIYI drama is a very, very typical period idol fantasy drama. And the Tencent Litchi Road is based on the novel writer Ma Bongyong's work, The Litchi Road, set in Tang Dynasty, with real historical characters as the backdrop, but the actual story and the main characters are completely fictional. A very generalized overview. If you have better things to do in your life, don't watch them. You're either gonna drop out very quickly because it's not your cup of tea, or as time goes on, your interest in these two dramas will exponentially decline to the point that you no longer want to check out what's the update episode of today. Both dramas I've watched beyond episode 10, but I stopped somewhere around the teen numbers, and there's no way I'm going back to them. I would consider that a total waste of my time. Let's divide and conquer. First, let's deal with the fantasy idol period drama 临江仙. This drama is produced by Yu Zheng's company. Initially, this is called 横门有湖, and then they changed the title to 临江仙. For what reason? Who knows? It's Yu Zheng. And if you look at the scriptwriter listed, there are two people. The number one person is Zhao Na. She is the lady who's responsible for Not So Long Ago, A Moment But Forever, one of the better scripts I've seen in this genre in recent years. Also, back in the days, 2019, it's a long time ago, Love and Destiny. She's actually also responsible for Wu Youdu, Demon Hunter's Romance. So she's written some of the best, I'd say, period fantasy dramas. But if you watch the drama, you have the feeling it's actually not written by her. And I've read from all kinds of sources, not reliable and unconfirmed, that during the shoot of this drama, the script gets rewritten many times by many people. And that is at least generally what I believe, because I've watched a lot of her previous works. In comparison, the quality is just not on the same level, and it doesn't make logical sense that the same writer would have such a huge quality difference in their script writing. The drama is led by Bai Lu and Zeng Shenxi, and it's one of those super typical idol period fantasy drama of two very powerful immortals who are like born at the same time. They're the yin and yang, the black and white, of a whatever operating celestial system. One is fire, the other is water. They sort of exist forever, and then they live forever, and then one becomes stronger, the other will become weak, because they are the opposite end of the same thing. And it is their love story over a weird number of lifetimes, depending on how you count them. That's why it's called Feud, because they have a lot of pent-up anger against each other and a lot of misunderstandings, and that needs to fill the 32 episodes. I'm just gonna go from point to point about all my complaints and what I don't like about this drama, because I have nothing I like about this drama. Starting with number one, very, very bad first impression from second one when you turn on this drama. If you don't skip the opening song, and the minute I heard it's Bai Lu singing, it gave me a very negative starting point of this drama, because she doesn't sing well. There are dramas that had title songs sung by the lead actors. Either it's highly fandom orientated, if it's not them singing, it does not make sense, or the actors are actually really good, semi-professional singers. From a producer or drama making person's point of view, I do not encourage leading actors to sing title songs for drama unless they're really good at doing it. In the past, for example, for Guardian, that drama back in 2018, there is this song that's sung by Yuan Zhuilong. Every time I listen to it, I can tell it's not sung by two professional singers, and there are things that I cringe. So my brain would split into, I enjoy them singing it because I can take the characters and their relationship into the song. On the other hand, I can recognize it's not a very well sung song just from a professional music producing point of view. For that type of drama, there's also one thing is because it's a BL adaptation. If you find two unrelated to this IP and actors, singers, male, to sing this song, it can get very weird. And I don't know if all the singers would be happy to do it and whether it will sound really odd to the audiences. So that type of very specific drama and its title song, I think would be the only type I really accept. Then the other would be, you can be actually really good singer and doing it. For example, in the cases of Liu Yuning singing the title songs of the dramas he leads because he's first and foremost a singer. I said so much here at this point because it is the first moment I got to know this drama, and immediately it's like a really bad first impression. Bai Lu doesn't sing well and make me feel the drama is unprofessional, and it also makes me feel it is highly fandom orientated. It doesn't really welcome ordinary audiences because it's clearly impeding the quality of the production thing they do because it is a fandom service. It also does not help that if you turn on live comment, there are so many comments that praises her singing, which I cannot tell whether it's typed out by real people or it's just robot, but it's embarrassing. Then when the story starts, when you see Bai Lu for the first time, the first thing you notice is what's wrong with the hair. She has completely dyed colored hair that should not happen in period drama. So if you look carefully, you can see her roots are dark, like the normal Chinese hair, yet the part that a couple of centimeters after that is brown. And it's a period drama, even though people have magic. I don't think in this world setting, people dye their hair for fun. You either make her whole full head of hair same brown, or you make it all black. You cannot have that kind of color and make me feel it is believable. It looks like somebody who's just doing it for fun for one day. These two things happened in the first few minutes and already I had no good impression. And then guess what? Within the first episode, I think it's like first half of it, whatever, already you have the classic scene of the male lead and female lead met for the first time. He saved her from dropping to her death from a cliff. Immediately what happened is she pushed the guy over, accidentally kissing on his cheek. It's 2025. When you do it in 2005, it was already old, but this is 2025. Playing this out with two actors who are 30-year-old, it looks embarrassing. So within the first half an hour, I get all those bombardment things that makes me look away from the screen. I don't think the drama is gonna work on me. But I gave it actually more than 10 episodes time to run through what the plot is. If you haven't watched the drama, you're just listening to me telling you what it is. At this point, I think it's pretty clear that you really can just ignore its existence. Although it is not good and to some extent quite stupid and not making sense, it doesn't have very bad problems like certain other period fantasy drama had in the past, which is having highly morally questionable leading characters, like Till the End of the Moon, the female lead, the male lead, even that third male lead who is a general who betrays his country and feels like really good about it. All those things, right, at least didn't happen in this drama in that way. So to some extent, it doesn't belong to the bottom pack of terrible fantasy idol dramas. But then it doesn't mean the drama is actually good. Couple of things I can tell you why I think it is not a worth watching drama. One point is the story actually is not well written. It doesn't feel like it's been planned. In this case, both leading roles are people who are, when you first see them, you think of them as this, but they're actually not. They are playing, they're putting on a performance because they have a bigger plan that has a longer payoff. For example, our female lead. In the first 10 episodes at least, you think she's just clueless. She must be the reincarnation of a very powerful immortal, but she's not just a human and she has no clue about who she is. But the fact is, she actually never wasn't aware of the fact. She is basically just hiding in her mortal shell and pretending she doesn't know. Whereas the whole thing is her plan. She wants to infiltrate again back to where she belongs to and then get a revenge. You don't find that out until after episode 10. And before that happens, there's no clue. Even just in one shot of the lead when people are not looking. She gives you a look, or she gives you one moment of pause that makes very clever current contemporary audiences realize, oh, she actually remembered. They didn't do any of that. Up to the point when you finally find out, she really has been pretending. It is happening very randomly because they didn't give you any clue and suggestion before it. You could also do it at that moment and say, she really didn't know. It wouldn't make a difference to the audiences. Remember, you are telling the story to an unspecific demographic of people who are watching. And it doesn't actually do anything good for the narrative when you have this kind of setup of a character to not let people know at all. You should actually let the audiences get a clue here and there, but let all the characters in the story apart from her not being aware of it. That's the reason this type of setup becomes interesting and dramatically having that tension with the audiences, with the viewers. And they didn't do that at all. It would just look random when it actually gets paid off at the moment. It's bad writing. Anti the rules of telling stories on the most basic level. This is why I think even when that female scriptwriter is credited to the drama, I highly doubt this is written by herself. And I believe this might be another case of too many chefs in the kitchen that screwed up the final thing. Then another point of this drama that makes it very bland and not worth your time is you don't see any good performance. Zheng Shunxi is a miscast for this character because this character supposedly is a very high-ranking immortal. Think about Love and Destiny back in the days of 2019. A lot of people complain about Zhang Zhen looking not good style-wise, and I get it. But when you think about him playing that high-ranking immortal who is one of the highest ranking in existence, this actor understands who is he playing, and the fact that he's a good actor, he pulls it off just by standing or sitting there. You feel he has weight, and that's why everybody respects him. Whereas in Feud, Zheng Shunxi looks like younger than pretty much everybody else. It makes sense for him to play basically in this world a crown prince, not the emperor. He's playing the high immortal who is the teacher of everyone else. Whereas when you look at his face, he looks like the student of everyone else. Also, like, he really doesn't do that good a performance. But even when he did, probably it's still not gonna work because he just does not look the part. As for Bai Lu, she looks exactly like what she always looks like in every idol period fantasy drama she's been in. To me, she's one of those actresses who has completely given up. Every time she goes into a crew, she tries to figure out who her character is. She's just doing it the way she always does it. Bai Lu is 31 this year. Zheng Shunxi is 29. I feel like they're still playing things that are shallower than the understanding of primary school kids. It is truly a pity and also embarrassment for adult actors in China to keep getting this type of script and playing these type of roles. You look at all those promotional materials, for example, interviews of the leading actors when they talk about their characters clearly was shot at the time when the drama was shot, so that when the drama airs, they can put it as special features, which often follows the normal episode on iQIYI or any other platform. And you watch these things and you can't help laughing. It's like a 30-year-old adult sitting there talking about nonsense, talking about forced value and their hard work and their understanding of this seemingly grand picture of the world and their characters that are so stupid. I almost feel that part of the acting of them is better than their acting of their roles in the drama, because you have to basically hypnotize yourself about the value of the characters you play or the value of the story you're in to talk about that to an interviewer with that kind of enthusiasm. Unfortunately, that happens to every drama these days. What's the value in this drama? I don't know. I guess unless you're fans of Bai Lu and Zheng Shunxi, maybe even that, don't watch it because it's not going to provide you any extra value. Particularly in Zheng Shunxi's case, I still think he looks better in the contemporary drama where he speaks Cantonese. Next one, Litchi Road, 长安的荔枝. 35 episodes from Tencent, also airs on CCTV. This is based on Ma Boyong's novel, one leading character's adventure. And it starts with difficult situations he got thrown into. His whole journey in the story basically is his attempt to survive. And when you hear this type of story, what would you think about? What's the best form of adaptation? Into visual? A movie. 1 hour 30 minutes, classic 4 to 5 act structure. And if you read any books like Save the Cat, right, you would know exactly this is the perfect story for Save the Cat structure. And there is gonna be a movie next month led by Da Peng. And already I think the movie is gonna be better than the drama. Because this type of story, how are you gonna stretch it into 35 episodes? So, 35 episodes aired on June the 7th, directed by Cao Dun, who is the director of Chang'an 12时辰, The Longest Day in Chang'an, back in 2019. Still based on Ma Boyong's novel. And if you wanna know the exact timing of these two stories, the time of Chang'an 12时辰 is about 10 to 11 years earlier than the time of the Litchi Road. Although neither two dramas are historical because they're both fictional, legendary, of the leading characters and their events. It is just the historical backdrop is based on that historical time. And in our current story, Lei Jiaying again is the male lead, like 长安12时辰, but he is no longer the super soldier, but just a normal civil servant worker at the very bottom level of that bureaucratic system. And he's specialized in mathematics. He's the ancient time accountant. And then he's also a botanist. That's why he managed to eventually finish this humongous task of transporting highly perishable lychee fruit across a long distance and for over 10 days and still keep it fresh without all the modern technology we have. If you want to say what is probably still can be considered as good about this drama, that would be it is reasonably budgeted, acted by proper actors, and having a acceptable base level of production standard every department considered period drama. But it doesn't mean actually it's well done. So we're gonna also go through all the things I have problems with that put me off from watching the drama and eventually make me decide to give up on it. Number one, you can clearly tell if you've watched Chang'an 12时辰 Longest Day in Chang'an, there is a quality drop. Cinematography is the clearest thing you can tell. Costumes, quality, color, and cameras work particularly with lighting. If you look at the lighting of Chang'an 12时辰 and the lighting of Litchi Road, I feel like it's done by two different teams because they have so different standards. There's definitely a lot of shot in studio that tries to fake daylight. Second, to do with the plot and the characters and how they play this drama out. You can say this is a pacing problem, but it is also a writing problem of scenes and characters and how you treat events in the story. Just by listening to the synopsis, you feel this should be a very chronologically linear story that goes in one line. And it's this character getting into trouble and getting out of it, getting into trouble, getting out of it, surviving. And there is basically a tiger chasing after him. The tiger is getting the lychee transported before June, otherwise you're dead. And every day that goes by is a day closer to that. If you haven't figured out, it's closer to death. For this type of story, you need to have that pace. You need to have that nervousness. You need to have that tension constantly. Yet when you watch the drama, it is so slow. And it goes around in circles, and it's loose, and it's funny all the time. You're gonna be dead. You should be like panicking, yet he doesn't, pretty much. He's trying to make you think he's panicking, but he's not. He's like, oh, whatever. And then how they treat every scene doesn't help you feel the nervousness of the situation. It actually is all orientated towards making it funny. I'll give you an example. Yue Yunpeng's character. He's like the second male lead. There are two male leads, Lei Jiaying's character and Yue Yunpeng's character, and their brother-in-law. Early in the drama, there's a scene where he goes to eavesdropping on someone else who's having a secret conversation. So these two people are talking inside the room, the window's closed. He's on the outside of the wall. He's like just sticking on the wall trying to listen to what they're talking about. The person inside the room opened the window, and what happens? Obviously, that guy suddenly turned around and saw him. Okay, I get it. You're trying to play that classic moment. In all types of spy movies, when somebody gets found out, and for 1 second, everybody is awkward and silent, and then something happens. Either they start to fight against each other or whatever. The guy inside the room asked Yue Yunpeng's character, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" There's the pause, and then his character said, "I'm eavesdropping." And then they start to fight and do whatever. On comedy level, actually paid off, where it's quite funny. Yue Yunpeng is a professional comedian, so he actually timed it quite well. Yet, when you think about, in logic, whether this character Yue Yunpeng plays should be even saying that. Under that kind of circumstances, when you absolutely do not want to be discovered, yet you are found. And you know, coming up is a fight. You have to overcome this person. Either you run away, he can't catch you, he doesn't know who you are, or to make sure he's not gonna tell you to the people that you know absolutely cannot find out you are listening to their conversation. The only choice is to overcome that person. Basically, get rid of them. So under that type of circumstances, you either don't say anything and you go straight into fight, or you run away, which is not the best choice. Everything you can think of that makes sense for the character Yue Yunpeng plays to do would not include him suddenly dropping that comedy lines, "I'm eavesdropping." It takes out the seriousness and the urgency and the life-threatening nature of that scene for our characters, and it actually does not make sense for anybody who would be realistically in that situation. Even when they're really funny by nature, at that point, being clever for the sake of making audiences laugh for 1 second, you take out logic of the character and the story, and everything in this drama works that way. And it becomes, at the end, a string of xiaoping, which is a form of stage comedy performance in China. I'm not in for this drama to eat comedy skewers. Episode 12, like I've watched to that point, I can't deal with it anymore. I cannot stand even 1 second of it. It didn't give me any of the satisfactory feelings I should get from this type of narrative, so I quit. Another point that is really fatal for this drama is original story. The male lead is just the male lead. There's no second male lead. And Ma Boyong, I believe, as the original author, suggested to the drama, if you want to make it 35 episodes, this is not enough. You have to add a lot of stuff. You probably need to add another important character. So they made it a 2 male lead story, where the brother-in-law comes in, played by Yue Yunpeng, who has almost the same narrative weight and screen time as Lei Jiaying, and they become both unlucky to get involved in this situation. They both go to Lingnan for different reasons. So it basically changes the nature of the story. Now you add a plot of political struggle between two premier of the country, the right and the left. And this part that they added on is not well written at all. It's written as such a child's play and not making sense and, frankly speaking, laughable level. It reduces further the tension of the original story and adds more comedy unnecessary and then making it look stupid. Maybe Ma Boyong did the right suggestion in terms of you need to make the story bigger so that it can be 35 episodes, but maybe the best suggestion he could give the crew of this drama is do not make it into a drama. To make it worse, in the original story, the wife character of the main lead, she's alive and well. And one of the motivations for our leading man in the novel to figure out how to transport Litchi is because if it didn't succeed, his whole family will get implicated too. Before the drama even started, she's already a dead person. So he's a widower and he's having a daughter. I don't know, it makes the guy looks cooler or whatever because he's now a widower, he's taking care of the daughter. You should feel more sympathy for him. Really? Is that why? Or is it because the wife is dead, so he's single technically? You can develop potential love line, which does not exist in the original story now for Lei Jiaying's route. There's this hint between, for example, the Litchi girl who has the orchard, and also the merchant played by Nashi, and it's the potential thing that can go between the leading man and this woman. I find it's just unbelievable that if your life is under threat, you may die in 100 days' time, clearly, if you don't succeed at doing something. You could be interested in romance along the way. All these things are just really bad choices. It makes the drama less and less believable, characters less and less lovable, and the experience of watching it really less and less enjoyable. The last thing about this drama, I think why the rating keeps declining steadily is the energy. A friend of mine is talking to me because she's also in industry, and she's saying this drama is typically 不提气, not taking the energy up drama, and I totally agree. 提气 is something that makes you wanna fight, to have that courage and proactive will to win. And honestly, I don't know about other places in the world, but within China, most of the audiences of stories, we go into stories looking for success. You know why Ne Zha was so successful earlier this year as a movie? Because the lead is super proactive, and the harder the challenge, the harder they fight back. There is no, yes, imminent danger is in our face, but we can still just make fun of it at this point. There's only that if you try to put me down, I'll put up a fight and I'll burn your ass energy. And that's what works with, I'd say, overall preference of Chinese audiences of whatever content. Yet this drama completely doesn't respect that. It is constantly not giving you that. It's giving you the opposite energy, plus a lot of redundant information. If you look at the commentary on this drama everywhere that I can see actually on China's internet, you barely find any positive things. Maybe people sometimes praise, oh, this costume recreation of the time is well done. Oh, that weapon actually is based on whatever real historical artifact. They did really well here, researching the pattern of that clothing. Oh yeah, but that's not the primal goal of making a narrative story visually. So at the end of this video, basically I'm saying the Aiqi feud, Lin Jiangxian and the Tencent, the Litchi Road or Litchi Road, however you pronounce that, does not matter. In Chinese, it's Li Zhi, so maybe you should just call it Li Zhi Road from Tencent. Both dramas are not like if you check it out, you've committed a crime, but I would warn you, if you check it out, it's unlikely you're gonna feel your time is well invested, and at some point, even if you don't drop out immediately, you're likely to drop out and not continue watching it. That should be the end of this, again, not encouraging video of Chinese drama. Thank you for watching Avenue X. I'll see you in my next video. Meanwhile, live long and happy drama watching.